Shalom! Hello friends, welcome everybody. Manly P. Hall, Chapter 11, Part 2. Yeah, we got pretty far last week, right? Right, guys? Yeah. This half-hour chapter, we got pretty far in an hour and a half, didn't we? Damn, how's my sound going, everybody? Sign into chat. Hold on a second. Something's a little funky. Okay, just a second, everyone. Just a second. How is everyone, by the way? Y'all had a good week? Y'all had a good life? Y'all ready for the end? Isn't it crazy how Jeffrey Epstein was a 4chaner? Bro. Oh my god. So it's not showing my chat, so I'm like signing in. The fuck? Yeah, okay. Come on. OBS problems. Just OBS problems. Oh my god, no. Did I sign in as Richard Rueck? Okay, here we are. We're back. Let's go. Bob, howdy. Adamu, welcome. Our tuition and Neo-Stoicism are here. Been ready for the end? Let's get this party started. Howdy, Kimberly. Dropping some burbs for a good old Carl. We're shaloming. Hello. Hello, Real Street. Shaman Beal PR. Welcome. Pol was a psyop all along. What even is real? Israel? Israel? I knew it. We all knew it. I mean, it's one of those things. Ever since, like, Project Chanology, I was just like, because of the very nature of Anonymous being masked, it's like, it would be so easy. All it takes is a little bit of a social engineering to start a movement. Like, you know, all of those people's trying to raid people in real life and the whole kind of 4chan against Scientology, I feel like those were more experiments to see how they can manipulate online boards. See some experiments fail, and people just get BTFO'd. Some experiments succeed. It's all, as Aldous Huxley said in one of his quotes outside of his books, he says something like, engineering is the greatest form of technology in the last century, whereas social engineering will be the new highest form of technology in the coming century. And it's like, I always remember that, and I'm like, yeah, they dump, and forget about China and Russia. And it's like, oh, there's Russia bots shilling propaganda. Dog, if you live in the West, you live in the belly of the greatest propaganda machine that humanity has ever created. Social engineering, that's the real science. Adamu says, Project Chanology was a great time to be alive. It was. It was. Back in the day. Back in those old days on the internet, where men were men, the women were men, and the children were FBI agents. Actually, not much has changed. What are you going to do? Now, tarot time, babies. Let's go. I've been shuffling all this while. Let's see what the tarot gives us. Oh, how very... I'm not going to say what it is. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to hold this up and be like, yo, y'all guess what I'm holding up. Real ones know already. Real ones using their remote viewing know already. You can guess. You can guess what this is. Low orbit ion cannons. What are we talking about, Adamu? Israel? Okay, let's just jump into some ancient teachings to cleanse our mind. Because really, this is the problem. The problem is it's not about having your mind closed, because then you just don't know. But if you have your mind too open, your brain falls out. So what you need to cleanse your mind. And the way you do that is with literature. So let's dive into some literature. Let's give ourselves a cleanse. Let's talk about tripods. The Delphinian tripod restored. According to Beaumont, the above is the most authentic form of the Delphian tripod extant. But as the tripod must have been changed considerably during the life of the oracle, hasty conclusions are unwise. In his description of the tripod, Beaumont divides it into 4 parts. A frame with 3. One is a frame with 3 legs, I suppose. It doesn't say legs, it just says a frame with 3, lol. 2, a reverberating basin or bowl set in a frame. That seems about right. Or 3, he wrote E there, lol. A flat plate or table upon which the Pythia sat. Or 4, a cone-shaped cover over the table, which completely concealed the priestess, and from beneath which her voice sounded forth in weird and hollow tones. Attempts have been made to relate the Delphian tripod with the Jewish Ark of the Covenant. The frame of 3 legs was likened to the Ark of the Covenant, the flat plate or table to the mercy seat, and the cone-shaped covering to the tent of the tabernacle itself. Is this an Aryan Ark of the Covenant? Is the Delphic tripod? I wonder if your face melts if you view it. This entire conception differs widely from the popularly accepted, but discloses a valuable analogy between the Jewish and the Greek symbolism. After being vanquished by Apollo, the spirit of Python remained at Delphi as the representative of his conqueror. So this is interesting. The serpent, the dragon, is dominated and then serves the higher being. This is what we need to do within ourselves. We need to dominate our dragon, our serpent, and have it serve our Apollonian nature. The serpent is Dionysus, and the intellect is Apollo. You know what I'm saying, guys? After being vanquished by Apollo, the spirit of Python, and there's a sexy lady in between, the oracle, who helps us with this synthesis. This analogy, this relationship between the eagle and the serpent. We need our Artemis to be an intercessor, a mediator between the two. She will be our oracle. For those who have ears, listen. After being vanquished by Apollo, the spirit of Python remained Delphi's representative of his conqueror, and it was with the aid of his effluvium that the priestess was able to become en rapport with the god. Effluvium means like mucus. You know what else is kind of a mucusy substance that men create? Out of their serpents, you know what I'm saying? And she uses this to contact higher forces. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The fumes rising from the fissure of the oracle were supposed to come from the decaying body of Python. So there's this whole thing about the fumes and like people getting higher fumes, but I never really bought too into that. The name of Python, because it's just like I have problems with the fumes because it's just like, you know, nowadays you just take a girl with low-income eyes to a gas station and sniff the fumes and Apollo can talk through her or something. It's like, it's not how it works, dog. The name Pythoness, or Pythia, given to the female hierophant of the oracle, means literally one who whomst has been thrown into a religious frenzy by inhaling fumes rising from decomposing matter. I don't know about that. It is of further interest to note that the Greeks believed the Oracle of Delphi to be the umbilicus of the Earth. Very interesting. Thus proving that they considered the planet an immense human being. That's very interesting, the umbilicus. So the Dantian is where the Delphic Oracle is. Earth has chakras confirmed by the Greeks. The connection between the principle of oracular revelation and the occult significance of the navel is an important secret belonging to the ancient mysteries. And so this is the other thing. in the olden days, that solar plexus isn't just telepathy, but it's when, like, you know, Kundalini Yoga came to the West and started fusing with the Western mystery traditions, Western occultists would be like, you focus on the Manipura chakra. Svanasana Manipura, but if you awaken that chakra with fire, the sparks from that chakra awaken the inner eye. So it's like the third eye in the center of the head also awakens via the Manipura chakra. There's some interconnectedness with it. It's interesting. It's interesting. You transmute the sexual energy, not from, you know, the sexual system to the brain, but to the solar plexus. And that forcing that door open, the door of the solar plexus, open with the force of the sexual energy, allows you to see into the ultra, into the other world. That was another technique or theory. I think Theodore Roos was a big fan of that. That was like his main practice for his microcosm, and then other than that, apparently he was just purely a ceremonial magician. Outtuition asks, to answer your question, I'd like to see some sort of comparison of people with similar charts to highlight how their different astrological placements make a difference. As for who exactly, I don't know. Okay, yeah, it's an interesting question. But this, yeah, and this is the thing about astrology, is it's not like stern, like, properties. It's just attributes that have influence. And so someone with Aries in their moon, if two people have Aries in their moon, it's not like, oh, they're the same person. It's like, no, there's an energy there, and how it's reflected in their personality may be different. Like, Aries has a lot of fire and, you know, warlike qualities, and the moon can be seen as the feminine or the mother. So someone with Aries in their moon may be like, they have problems with females in their life. So for one guy, it may be problem with his wife, or it could be a girl who has a problem with her mother, or it could be another guy if, like, the moon is also water and Aries is conflection, so it's like the guy has a problem with oceans, he has a fear of oceans or something. There's energy, and how it manifests in the personality will be different to the person. It's not like Aries and moon, therefore this, and therefore everyone who has moon in Aries has this staunchly, no matter what. It's like, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Adamu says, so the Oracle of Delphi was excreting this mucus, or was... No, the mucus was from Python. The mucus came from... The effluvium came from the Python. And the effluvium was the medium that sent her into a frenzy. Which... This is a bit of a mistranslation. So frenzy comes from a Latin word which comes from a Greek word mania, which actually comes from a Platonic dialogue where he's not talking about mania or manic kind of a state. He's talking about a mania as a form of a type of mania that goes beyond reason and allows you to gain knowledge. So there's like 4 different manias. I keep on forgetting what all of the 4s are, but there's one of Apollo, which gives prophecy, but there's also like one, like a mania of Eros, that allows you to use Eros to go into a type of altered state to gain knowledge. Tantra in the Platonic dialogues, I know, right? Crazy. I was thinking Terence McKenna would be interesting. Oh, for the astrology stream? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. That's not. I'll add him to the list. I gotta compile. Everyone's given some good. I've asked on orders of the Telegram to both the Telegram, the normal chat and the secret chat, and I've got some good answers. So I'll compile a list and I'll schedule that Astro stream for some time. So Earth doesn't clean its belly button, confirmed. Yeah, that's pretty funny, Adamu. Onyx Rock 26 asks, Platonism is secretly Apollo knowledge worship. It's evident, starting the apology. Okay. Oh, so you're basically saying this is your conspiracy, Onyx, that Platonism is secretly Apollo worship. It could be that Platonism is an esoteric school, and the exoteric part of it is Apollo worship, but the esoteric part of it is Dionysian worship. That's what would make it sexy. The exo and the exoteric and the esoteric, and the two combined. Because, you know, there's that whole thing in Symposium. It's all the guys getting drunk and talking, And then what is it? Diatima. We have a female character come in and lay down the law and talk about Eros. So it's kind of like, So between Apollo and Dionysus is a secret third thing, which is represented by a female. Possibly Artemis. Possibly Aphrodite. You know what I'm saying? The deepest mystery. So maybe it's like exoteric, mesoteric, and then the deepest esoteric is some kind of feminine mystery that's contained deep within the annals of lost Platonic lore. What is the esoteric meaning of the innie and outie belly buttons? Is there like... Actually, that's interesting. What's the deal with outie belly buttons? It's just how they cut the cord. Is there like... In tribal cultures, do people have outies more often than innies? Like, what's the thing with that? Like, what's the thing? Because most people have innies, and outers is actually like a low percentage, right? But is this a technology thing, like in other cultures, that you have different techniques? The more people have innies? Or is this actually some kind of esoteric randomization thing? Like people who have outie belly buttons have like a greater connection to their astral body or something. Or like maybe there's some kind of, if you leave the placenta on, the etheric body of the person is different and that gives them a more chance to have an outie. So an outie is just a sign that they have a stronger etheric body and they get sick less because of that. Is there some statistic? Maybe something like that. Imagine uns oracles fighting in a pool of Python jello, bruh. What's the deal with innies, though? What do you mean? Innies are normal, it's outies are weird. Microstro asks, I have an answer for you. Judith Hill is a medical astrologer and researcher and author. Judith Hill is a medical astrologer. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, I'll check that out later. Beal PR says, the thing about astrology, and here's where my inner Richard Dawkins comes out, if it were real, it should be very easy to prove. The problem is when people don't take the actual claims of astrology. And the other thing is the mechanism. The problem isn't the proving, the problem is figuring out what the mechanism is. Because if you have, and the problem is the term mechanism as well, if you live in a mechanistic universe, it doesn't make sense. A lot of the argumentation around astrology ends up being like, you know when it rains, if you're walking through the forest and you find a pine cone, and depending on like, just a random pine cone on the ground, you can tell if it's going to rain or not? It's like, if you show that to someone, they can have a misunderstanding and you show them and go like, oh, look at this pine cone, it's going to rain. And they'll look at you and they'll say, hey, are you saying that pine cone is going to make it rain? That's dumb. There's no causal connection there. And it's like, you got things the wrong way around. That's what a lot of the issues around talking about astrology has become. There's a Formscapes video if you want to like a deep dive into possible mechanisms. And I know, like, Formscapes, bruh, it's just like 2 hours of getting, like, mind raped. But, like, no, he gives like, really good stuff, really good studies, really good statistics. It's called the... What is that Formscapes video called? It's like Celestial something? Celestial Spheres something. Formscapes, Celestial. Celestial Spheres and the Collective Unconsciousness. Go watch that video, BLPR, come back. And then come back after. If only astrology were a science, and it is not. A system? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and this is the other thing. You have to investigate the claims, the actual claims of astrology, and then you go, which astrology? Sidereal, where they actually focus on where the stars are, or tropical, where it's actually about the seasons. And then it's like... Also, which tropical system? It's like, are you going Hellenic, or are you going like Renaissance, or are you going modern? And there's people who mix stuff together, and it's just like, it becomes a bit of a cluster. And there isn't, once again, there is an art to it. As I said, it's like, it's an attribute, not a hard property. So like with the guy with Aries in his moon, oh, so everybody has this property, right? It's like, no, that's not what the argument is. Does the astrology have to do with law of analogy? I think it's law of sympathy. I have an alti and I'm totally in touch with my astral body and don't get sick, oddly, like Richard Bruh. I don't get sick. My camera just makes me look weird, okay? Also, I heard about belly buttons. MicroStro says, I heard about belly buttons and why they might be innie or outie, but also possible problems with the mid or upper back. Oh. Huh. Okay. Because that's the other thing about astrology, it's like, what's the mechanism? Radiation? Light? When the ancients talk about it, they talk about rays, but they're not talking about light rays. And so it's this continuous thing of, there's something, some energy, because everything is interconnected. In the same way that the pine cone is connected to the clouds via some causal connection that you don't see with your eyes. Everything is interconnected. From planets to galaxies to the human organism and nature. And merely what they're plotting is they're just plotting a system of interconnectedness. Via celestial influences. Man, everyone's talking about innies now. A little late, but that was a fascinating answer you provided me. I need more esoteric Plato. Giorgiani, I believe, has some writings on this. Yeah, sorry, the latency of this stream may be crazy. What is the latency? We're probably like a minute out or something. But yeah, go for Giorgiani's take on Plato. I think he's done some like podcasts, but really just get a Lovers of Sophia, which is like an early work. And the first essays in that are on him interpreting Plato's dialogues, which is based. Not to waste your time, Richard, but what's your opinion on mundane astrology, aka of nations, businesses, products? I haven't really balls deeped into it. Because my focus on astrology is basically just personality astrology. Because I think that's useful. The structure of your persona. Because it's a layer. We have different kind of layers, and as well as societal and biological, the zodiacal forces seem to play some role in the structure of your personality. And so understanding those structures have some utility in esoteric work. Not that everything is psychological, but you're going to need to address certain things at a certain point. Some people get really into it, but I don't know about businesses and products, but astrology for nations might be interesting. I know Manly P. Hall was kind of into that, and he was like, America is a Cancer. And I'm like, that's kind of true. America is like the crazy drunk blonde girl who's like, you hit me! And then gets her boyfriend to nuke everyone. Yeah, the discourse on these streams always tangents into some weird stuff. It's a belly button stream now, for real. Wait, you know very few outies? Everyone around you? Yeah, no, that's actually correct. The outies are always rare. So was I tripping before and I was saying the wrong thing? I missed the Q&A stream last week. Sorry, Outtuition. What times are you usually up? And I'll do a members-only stream just for you. Now, let's talk about some more Apollo stuff. Stop derailing, guys. Apollo, the twin brother of Diana, was the son of Jupiter and Latona. I thought it was Leto. What the hell is Latona? Apollo was fully adult at the time of his birth. Same with Artemisa. He was considered to be the first physician and the inventor of music and song. That's interesting. The Greeks also acclaimed him to be father of the bow and arrow. Really? I thought that, once again, I thought this was all Artemis. Bruh. Cars driving by, how dare they? The famous temple of Apollo in Delphi was rebuilt 5 times. The first temple was formed only of laurel branches. Interesting. Second was somewhat similar. The third was brass, and the fourth and fifth were probably of marble based. Of considerable size and great beauty. No other oracle in Greece equaled the magnificence of that of Delphi. In the zenith of its power, writers declared that it contained many statues of solid gold and silver. Ooh. Marvelous ornaments and implements of the most valuable materials and beautiful workmanship donated by princes and kings who came from all parts of the civilized world to consult that spirit of Apollo dwelling in this sanctuary. Very based. The oracle, however, is much older than the foregoing account indicates. A story of this kind was probably invented by the priests to explain the phenomena to those inquisitive persons whomst they did not consider worthy of enlightenment regarding the true esoteric nature of the oracle. Some believe that the Delphic fissure was discovered by a Hyperborean priest. Hyperborean music just starts playing. Those edits have brain-rotted us. But as far back as recorded history goes, the cave was sacred, and persons came from all parts of Greece and the surrounding countries to question the daemon who dwelt in its chimney-like vent. Priests and priestesses guarded it closely and served the spirit who dwelt therein, and whomst enlightened humanity through the gift of prophecy. Sounds like a cool dude. Outtuition said, nah, I was going to make it, but my friend was in dire need, so I sacrificed seeing the stream. It is what it is. Nah, that's all good, bruh. Friends come first. More belly button talk. I think belly button is definitely a portal of sorts to the inner world. Yeah, I mean, sure. Connected to the mother? Yeah. Dunno. Anyone that has ever put their finger in my BB, I found it to be invasive and a no-no. Yes, is also a fetish, so there's definitely some kind of totemic magical energetic thing. It's because it's like, what are the chakras that are mainly associated with it? Either Manipura or Svanasana. In Taoism, it's going to be, that's where the engine is, that's where the Dantian is, the kiln or the furnace or the yellow court. So there's definitely some, there's definitely something there. There's also a big cavity there, so that's why the Dantian is there. Because the whole thing about the human body is you have like different cavities all over the places where energy can build up, and the biggest one is right there. So you build up energy there and you compress it, and it moves around the body, and more cavities open, and you know, this is how we transform and transmute the inside of the body. Thought the flood was happening right outside your house. No, it was just a van, and it's not even rainy, so I don't know why it was making that sound. It's like a sunny day, and it just sounded like it was going through water. I was like, what the hell? What the hell? Hey, Tyler. Made it. He's 10 minutes away from doing the southern preacher voice calling it now. I say. He comes from the land of the north wind. Yes, and so there's this Hyperborean Apollo thing as well, which is interesting. Calling your belly button BB. Is there something wrong about that? BB Death Stranding. Okay, anyway. The story of the original discovery of the oracle is somewhat as follows. Shepherds tending their flocks, very symbolic as well, shepherds, on the side of Mount Parnassus. They found the Imaginarium, where, amazed at the peculiar antics of goats that wandered close to the great chasm on its southern spur, the animals jumped about as though trying to dance and emitted strange cries, unlike anything before heard. At last, one of the shepherds, curious to learn the cause of the phenomena, approached the vent, from which were rising noxious fumes. Immediately he was seized with prophetic ecstasy. He danced with wild abandon, sang, jabbered inarticulate sounds, and foretold future events. Others went close to the fissure with the same results. The fame of the place spread, and many came. I would have came to learn of the future by inhaling the mephitic fumes which accelerated to the verge of delirium. Thank you for the £2, Adamu. You're an English boy, huh? Please add and so my boy, random and so my boys when you read. What? That's pretty funny. I'll try to remember. This is interesting. This is interesting. And I don't know, because there's different stories about this as well. So Manly P. Hall's clearly going for the pro-noxious vapors story. There are a group of, and this is the thing, even though Manly is on our side, a lot of people want a mechanism for this. And there is a minority of people that are like, no, the oracles were not sniffing fumes. But it's a minority. And I think those people have more of a point than the fume sniffers. I don't know, a lot of people want to really go in hard for fume sniffing oracles, and I'm like, it's a little bit cringe. And so, my boys, some of those who came... Sorry, I just made myself laugh. Who came being unable to control themselves, oh yeah, and having Nevergoon, guys, and having temporarily the strength of madmen, tore themselves from those seeking to restrain them, and jumping into the vent perished. In order to prevent others from doing likewise, a wall was erected around the fissure, and a prophetess was appointed to act as mediator between the oracle and those who came to question it. I highly doubt this story. I very highly doubt this story. There may have been shepherds. Sorry, so someone in chat just wrote meth, and that made me laugh. I highly doubt this story. The shepherds thing is probably real, and the goats probably acting real is real. But there's something in between the shepherds and the goats and them setting up a female oracle that is anomalous, and they try to fill that in with fume sniffing because that is a mechanism that makes sense to the rational mind. Beale, still talking about innies and outers. If an innie and an outie join together, a portal to Agartha opens. What if it, and it has to be a man and a woman, because if it's two guys and they come together, the peepees touch first and the portal doesn't happen, and so like the belly buttons can't connect. But maybe if it's two girls and they like scissor, and then the innie and the outie connects. Lesbian Agartha confirmed. Damn. Bruh. Space docking is illegal in Agartha. Sorry, guys. Bruh. Do you think methamphetamines enhance or decrease spiritual experience? I think it messes you up. I think the red pill that people are going to find out years from now is taking psychedelics and stimulants may give you some kind of spiritual insight that is legitimate, but it wrecks your internal energy system. And it's not actually a good idea. It's actually worse. It hampers you. It may be useful for opening someone up who's closed to the mysteries as a kindergarten technique, but you have to drop it at a certain point or else it will wreck your internal energetic system. Let's be real, were some of the female oracles just hot and so pretty much everyone listened to whatever they said no matter what? Yes. Because the thing about the oracles is the oracles were like almost a caste, and the priest class was always like the creme de la creme of the people. These weren't some like farm girl peasant phenotypes. These would have been hot girls, for real. For real. So that may have been a possibility. Bonk! I mean, fumes don't have to be narcotic. Yeah! It's just like, I would buy into more of like, if someone said, oh, the caverns naturally made the echoes 432 hertz and that activated the pineal gland, I would believe that more than the fumes theory, okay? That's all I'm saying. Onyx says clavicular through theurgy, enacting the Apollyon archetype by inhaling the metaphysics. Jesus Christ. Will mog us all. I don't know about that. I think meth is key to spiritual journey, but you got to put it away and recover. I think meth is probably the worst things you could take for the spiritual journey, dog. Look, because all of these things, they change your mental state. Alcohol changes your mental state. Like, you have a normal phenomenological mental state. But when you take alcohol, something happens. If you notice it, you split in two. There's a part of you that gets drunk, and there's another part of you that realizes you're getting drunk. Like, oh, I need to be careful. You know that point? You get to that point. That part that realizes it, that is the intellectual part of you, whereas the part that gets drunk is the animal part of you. Spiritual exercises are trying to get you to identify with the intellectual, the intellectus, and this is the spiritual part. That part and kind of strengthen it. That's what self-remembering is supposed to do. And I mean, you can get in any substance that you interact with. Coffee is a stimulant. If you drink 100 cups of coffee, I bet you your phenomenology will change. The problem is these stimulants like MDMA and methamphetamine, yeah, they do change your phenomenological state. So you can potentially use them in that way, but it's like a fucking, it's an SCP, dog. There may be some use to it, but there's like a downside. It's not a good thing. It's like an item that's like, you know, boost mana, but then like minus 50 to like health, dog. Like it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's like, yeah, taking MDMA and like dancing to techno with a girl will have some kind of like magnetic because it's a female and there's the masculine feminine polarity and you're in an altered state and there's lights flashing. It can give a transcendental experience, but that comes at a cost. Whereas if you're just a hardcore Giga Chad who's ascetic and applies their willpower, you cultivate will, you awaken, you gain the experience, you gain also knowledge and a subtlety to it, you gain technique, you gain all of these things that you don't by trying to, you know, game the system. So it's one of those things, like, yeah, I took meth and it helped me. I went to an ayahuasca shaman and I'm no longer a loser. That's great that you're no longer a loser. But it's like, you're gonna have to do it yourself. The drug is a crutch, and the crutch will hold you back. It only works if it's dungeon synth, though. Based dungeon synth enjoyer. Let's get back into this reading now. 40 minutes in, goddamn, how long? And we've just read like barely a page. Prevent others from doing likewise. A wall was erected. Based. Erect walls, guys. And a prophetess was appointed as a mediator. So yeah, I was doubting. I was pressing X to doubt. According to later authorities, a tripod of gold, ornamented with carvings of Apollo in the form of Python, the great serpent, was placed over the cleft, and on this was arranged a specially prepared seat, so constructed that a person would have difficulty in falling off while under the influence of the oracular fumes. Just before this time, a story had been circulated that the fumes of the oracle arose from the decaying body of Python. It is possible that the oracle revealed its own origin. Meh. For many centuries during its early history, virgin maidens, maidenless, were consecrated to the service of the oracle. They were called Sorry, I wanted to say Phoebe, and then I was like, baddies? Phoebe who's a baddie just came into my mind, and I'm like, bruh, why am I like this? Theobados, or Pythia? Someone critique me on that. Adamu says, don't be so hard on yourself, Richard. It's not your fault Manly put subliminal belly button messages in the text. Bruh. This is not a belly button stream. You know what's funny that we're talking about this? We're talking about oracles, who are women, who are virgins. And we're talking about the zodiac at one point, and astrology and the efficacy of astrology. What's the virgin in astrology? Virgo. Did you know astrological signs correspond to different parts of the body? Do you know what part of the body is connected with Virgo? God damn it. God damn it. It really is a belly button stream, bro. It's all connected. It's all connected to the belly buttons. Mother frickers. Anyway, constituted that famous order now known as the Pythian priesthood. It is probable that women were chosen to receive the oracles because their sensitive and emotional nature responded more quickly and completely to the fumes of enthusiasm. This is so cringe. No, they were chosen. Women were chosen because this is a grand Lemurian tradition, according to Steiner, where women develop the imaginal faculties more than the men, or first. 3 days before the time set to receive the communications from Apollo, the virgin priestess began the ceremony of purification. She bathed in the Castilian well, abstained from all food, drank only from the fountain of Casotus, which was brought into the sacred bay, which was brought into the temple through concealed pipes. Once again, cringe. Concealed pipes, they need a mechanism for something they don't understand. And just before mounting the tripod, she chewed a few leaves of the sacred bay tree, which had psychedelic properties, I'm sure. It has been said that the water was drugged, called it, to bring on distorted visions, or the priests of Delphi were able to manufacture an exhilarating and intoxicating gas. The problem with all of this is, whenever you hear stories of the oracles giving people advice, they're very quick. They're very quick-witted. They have a lot of guile. They're very clearly intelligent. They clearly have... like, they're seeing clearly. It's not like they're just high on fumes, just mumbling random stuff, and then the guy has to get some interpretation about the random murmurs that they're getting. This is all cringe. Libra can also be stomach as well as Cancer. Nah. Libra's more hips don't lie, or kidneys. And Cancer is more the boobies. Whereas the Virgin is the belly button dancing. Virgin girls doing belly dancing is Virgo. You know the zodiac sign is associated with other BB, the anus? Scorpio. Scorpio's genitals and sex organs, so yeah, that makes sense. And they poop. Girls poop, so all girls have a little bit of Scorpio. I'm kidding, girls don't poop. Anyway, it has been said that the water was drugged to bring on distorted visions, cringe, manufacture, blah blah blah, which they conducted by subterranean ducts and released into the shaft, materialists needing a mechanism. Neither of these theories has been proved based. Come on, Manly. However, nor in any way explain the accuracy of the predictions exactly based Manly P. Hall. When the young prophetess had completed the process of purification, she was clothed in sanctified raiment and lit the tripod upon which she seated herself, surrounded by the noxious vapors rising from the yawning fissure gradually as she inhaled the fumes. If a different spirit had entered her body. I'll enter your body in a second, Manly. She struggled, tore her clothing, and uttered inarticulate cries. Did she, though? Did she? After a time, she struggled. Her struggles ceased. Upon becoming calm, a great majesty seemed to possess her. And with eyes fixed on space and body rigid, she uttered the prophetic words. The predictions were usually in the form of a hexameter verse. Oh yeah, people pumping out hexameter poetry while high. Yep, that totally happens. But the words were often ambiguous and sometimes unintelligible. Every sound that she made, every motion of her body was carefully recorded by the 5 Hos. I'm kidding, 5 Hosi. I've never heard that before. Or holy men. Who are these Hosi? We got some Hos. Asian toads? Bruh, come on, dog. Manly, what you talking about? Or holy men who were appointed as scribes to preserve the minutest details of each divination. The Hosi were appointed for life and were chosen from the direct descendants of Deucalion. Very interesting. Very interesting. After the oracle was delivered, the Pythia began to struggle again, and the spirit released her. She was then carried or supported to a chamber of rest, where she remained till the nervous ecstasy had passed away. Iamblichus, in Dissertation on the Mysteries, describes how the spirit of the oracle, a fiery diamond, even Apollo himself, took control of the Pythoness and manifested through her. Okay, hold up. What's everyone saying? I wonder if she truly told Socrates' friend that he was the wisest in Athens. Yeah, probably. Scorpio is the way out, and its opposite, Taurus, is the mouth and throat. Interesting. So when 2 dudes 69, that's the true key to Agatha. I get it now. Thank you, MicroStro. With the Hosi at BLPR. Turtle storyteller. When I'm reading stuff, I also say based or cringe to whatever text is saying. Based. Based. Exactly, turtle storyteller. Good times, guys, good times. But the prophetess in Delphi, whether she gives oracles to mankind through an attenuated and fiery spirit bursting from the mouth of the cavern, or whether being seated in the adytum on a brazen tripod or on a stool with 4 feet, she becomes sacred to the god, whichsoever of these is the case. She entirely gives herself up to a divine spirit and is illuminated with a ray of divine fire. And when indeed fire ascending from the mouth of the cavern circularly invests her in collected abundance, she becomes filled from it with a divine splendor. But when she places herself on the seat of the god, she becomes co-adapted to his stable professions. She becomes wholly possessed by the god. So wait, what is he saying? She... On the seat of the god, she becomes co-adapted. He doesn't say anything about fumes. That's interesting. And then indeed, he is present with and illuminates her in a separate manner, and is different from the fire, the spirit, the proper seat, in short, from all visible apparatus of the place, whether physical or sacred. That's very interesting. Yes. Wait, so 5 Hosi men surround the oracle? I'm picturing the girl on a couch surrounded by 5 dudes meme. Yeah, apparently. MicroStro, you're hilarious, man. Thanks for the humor. No problem, bro. You're funny too. Is the stream freezing? Another guy asks, is the stream freezing kind of often for you guys too? Ooh. Looks like I do have a bit of a drop. No. PP. Okay. Oh, my connection is poor. Wow. Wait, what's the, OPS. It looks like we're dropping some frames. But OBS is still transmitting okay, so the stream shouldn't drop out, but we may get some lag. Oof, sorry guys. Maybe the fumes are more like smoke and frankincense or poly. Yeah. It's more something like that, because I mean, this is the other thing. You ever lit in a fire in a cave? It gets hot real quick. And so if it was a sacred place with incense, that sure would have been cray. Among the celebrities who visited the Oracle of Delphi were the immortal Apollonius of Tyana, based, and his disciple Damis. He had a disciple, Damis? I really need to read the Apollonius story properly. He made his offerings, and after being crowned with laurel, a laurel wreath, and given a branch of the same plant to carry in his hand, he passed behind the statue of Apollo, which stood before the entrance to the cave, and descended into the sacred place of the oracle. The priestess was also crowned with laurel, and her head bound with a band of white wool. Apollonius asked the oracle if his name would be remembered by future generations. The Pythoness answered in the affirmative, but declared it would always be calumniated. Calumny is bad, right? Me English good. Me English good. Make false, defamatory statements. Very interesting. Apollonius left the cavern in anger, but time has proved the accuracy of the prediction, for early church fathers perpetuated the name of Apollonius as the Antichrist. Ooh. For details, see the History of Magic. I want to go through that on stream one day. Eliphas Levi's History of Magic. The messages given by the virgin prophetess were turned over to the philosophers of the oracle, whose duty it was to interpret and apply them. The communications were then delivered to the poets, who immediately translated them into odes, lyrics, setting forth in exquisite form the statements supposedly made by Apollo, making them available for the populace. Man, this seems very elaborate. Serpents were much in evidence at the Oracle of Delphi. The base of the tripod, which the Pythia sat, was formed of twisted bodies of 3 gigantic snakes. According to some authorities, one of the processes used to produce the prophetic ecstasy was to force the young priestess to gaze into the eyes of the serpent. Fascinated and hypnotized, she then spoke with the voice of the god. Interesting. Although early Pythian priestesses were always maidens, some still in their teens, a law was later enacted that only women past 50 years of age should be the mouthpiece of the oracle. Huh? These older women, dressed as young girls, went through the same ceremonial as the first Pythiae. But were they hot? That's all I want to know. The change was probably the indirect result of a series of assaults made upon the persons of the priestess by the profane. During the early history of the Delphian oracle, the gods spoke only at each 7th birthday of Apollo. As time went on, however, the demand became so great that the Pythia was forced to seat herself upon the tripod every month. The time selected for the consultation and the questions to be asked were determined by lot or vote by the inhabitants of Delphi. It is generally admitted that the effect of the Delphian oracle upon Greek culture was profoundly constructive. James Gardner sums up its influence in the following words. Its responses revealed many a tyrant and foretold his fate. Through its means, many as unhappy being was saved from destruction, and many a perplexed mortal guided in the right way. It encouraged useful institutions and promoted useful discoveries. Its moral influence was on the side of virtue, and its political influence in favor of the advancement of civil liberty. This is very interesting because it also says, if this also portrays if you don't believe it's the god Apollo, it's either a daimon that wants to increase human culture, or it's a secret cult of, like, men and women who are philosophers, who are psyoping the populace, being like, yeah, we can speak to a god, for reals. And then they turn their teachings into poems and are able to psyop the populace into, you know, like Idiocracy, where he's like, we need to give the plants water, and no one believes him, and so he's like, I can talk to plants, and they said they need water, and then everyone does it, and the plants grow. It almost feels like it's either something like that, or a good daimon, or it's the actual god, or maybe a compilation of them all. Maybe the fumes are just the friends we made along the way. Roxa Kara just joined the stream. God bless your beautiful bald head, you based bastard. Thank you, Roxa. The Prophet Poet Industrial Complex. Amazing. Amazing. Exactly up tuition. That's exactly where I was going with that. There is a prophetic poet industrial complex, a secret cult of guys who are constructively aiding the advancement of man. Oh, Locos, you got hit with the gifted membership. And also thank you, Tyler, for the 5 gifted memberships. The OG Talmudic Network. Yeah, except these are the good guys. These were the good guys. The Oracle of Dodana was presided over by Jupiter, who uttered prophecies through oak trees, birds, and vases of brass. Many writers have noted the similarities between rituals of Dodana and those of the Druids, priests of Britain and Gaul. The famous oracular dove of Dodana, alighting upon the branches of the sacred oaks, not only discoursed at length in the Greek tongue upon philosophy and religion, but also answered the queries of those who came from distant places to consult it. The talking trees stood together, forming a sacred grove. When the priests desired answers to important questions, after careful and solemn purifications, they retired to the grove. They then accosted the trees, beseeching a reply from the god who dwelt therein. When they had stated their question, the trees spoke with the voices of human beings, very based, revealing to the priests the desired information. Some assert that there was but one tree which spoke, an oak or a beech, standing in the very heart of the ancient grove. Because Jupiter was believed to inhabit this tree, he was sometimes called Phigenius, or one who lives in the beech tree. These beeches. Am I right, guys? It's always the beeches. Okay, now we're going to get to the lesser-known oracles, which is fascinating, because you never hear about these. It's all Oracle at Delphi. It's like, what about Oracle of Dodania? Let's do some Dodanian oracles. Jupiter, and so here's Jupiter, with his eagle, and there's a beech tree. What a beech. Is this a nymph? Who is that, a nymph or a dryad or something? And who's this? Let's see what he says. Jupiter was called Dodanian after the city of Dodana in Epirus. Okay. Northern Greece. Not quite Macedonia, but that place there. Yeah, okay. Okay. Near the city was a hill thickly covered with oak trees, which from the most ancient times had been sacred to Jupiter. The grove was further venerated because dryads, fauns, satyrs, and nymphs were believed to dwell in its depths. From the ancient oaks and beeches were hung many chains of tiny bronze, bells which tinkled day and night as the wind swayed the branches. Some assert that the celebrated talking dove of Dodana was in reality a woman, because in Thessaly both prophetesses and doves were called Pleiades. It is supposed that the first temple of Dodana was erected by Deucalion, and those who survived the Great Flood with him. For this reason, the oracle at Dodana was considered the oldest in Greece. Very interesting. PP, big. Beaches be crazy indeed, guys. When the original priests of Dodana, the Celioi, mysteriously vanished. Ancient conspiracy theory, where did the Celii go? They went to Britain. Or maybe they left to found the Oracle of Delphi, and it's like that secret cult that was manipulating man to increase their civilization moves its center of gravity. This is the physical White Lodge. Twin Peaks was a documentary. David Lynch was right. Oh my god, it's all making sense. The oracle was served for many centuries by 3 priestesses who interpreted the vases, and at midnight interrogated the sacred trees. Well, I don't get interpreting the vases. Is there something in the vase, or are they looking at the vase and just looking at patterns in it while it spins or something? What's the vases? Where's the Chud Saturnian oracle? Nothing ever happens. That's funny. The patrons of the oracles were expected to bring offerings to make contributions. Another remarkable oracle was the cave of Trophonius, which stood upon the side of a hill with an entrance so small. Okay, so hold on. This is another oracle. Who's Trophonius? It had an entrance so small it seemed impossible for a human being to enter. After the consultant had made his offering at the statue of Trophonius, so did they crawl in and donned sanctified garments. He climbed the hill to the cave, okay, carrying in one hand a cake of honey. Sitting down at the edge of the opening, he lowered his feet into the cavern. Thereupon his entire body was precipitately drawn into the cave. What is this, a Dark Souls boss entrance? Which was described by those who had entered it as having only the dimensions of a fair-sized oven. When the oracle had completed its revelation, the consultant, usually delirious, was forcefully ejected from the cave, feet foremost. Huh? That's so weird. Mixtro says, Greece, the ancient Hellenic world, most likely, or maybe they couldn't actually maintain such vast areas of simultaneously control, like really. It's city-states, bro. When we talk about the ancient Greek Empire, we're not talking about the ancient Greek Empire, we're talking about the ancient Athenian Empire, dog. That's what we're talking about, let's be honest. Let's all of us Spartan fans be honest here. It's the ancient Athenian Empire when we're talking about the Greek states, and before Athens, it was a bunch of Greek cities that just spoke the same language. And they all had different gods, different oracles, and different things going for them, really. Maybe they became the Vestal Virgins. They could become the Sibyls. Yeah, actually, no. Isn't there some... Anyone read the Comte de Gobelis? In the Comte de Gobelis, I believe that's an esoteric book. Count of the Kabbalah in French. That's an esoteric book from France in the 1800s. He makes an argument in there that the Oracle of Delphi survived and became the Sibyls. That system became the Sibyls of Rome that then eventually grew into the Vestal Virgins. So possibly, Onyx, that could be definitely a connection there. Gotta pass through the fog wall if you want to consult the oracle. Exactly, that's what this sounds like. Like, I don't know, it sounds like you go feet first into a cave, and then you're just in a cave and you hear a voice, and then something ejects you out feet first? Like, what? Oh, no. Sorry, okay, what happens is you go down, but you don't fully go down. It's like that, you know, the pictures of the guy getting lost in the cave? It's like you go feet first, and you just stay halfway in. So your head is, like, in, like, a small area, and you hear the oracle's voice in that, and then after your time you're just automatically ejected somehow. That's what it is. Okay, this is what's up. This is what's up. Okay, this is making more sense to me now. So there was a temple slightly away from that little cave entrance, and you go to the temple, you put on your garments, you give your donation to the temple, and then they give you a little sugar cake, and you go there, and well, you go into the entrance, you go... Wait, it says feet first. Into it? Okay, this actually doesn't make sense. It may only make sense if you go head first. What's going on here? I'm actually tripping. You sit down at the edge opening, and you lower in feet first, so your entire body goes in. Yeah, I'm tripping balls. I have no idea what's going on in there. What's going on with this oracle. Okay, near the cave of the oracle, 2 fountains bubbled out of the earth, so natural fountains within a feet of each other. Those about to enter the cave first drank from these fountains, the waters of which seemed to possess peculiar occult properties. Based. The first contained the water of forgetfulness, and all who drank thereof forgot earthly sorrows. Okay, hold up. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? From the second fountain flowed the waters of musemenine, or remembrance, for later it enabled those who partook of it to recall their experiences in the cave. Meh. Meh. Beale, you need to let go of the belly button, dog. Do you think Jupiter has an outie in this picture? Through its entrance, as marked by 2 brass obelisks, the cave surrounded by a wall of white stones concealed in the heart of a grove of sacred trees, did not present an imposing appearance. There is no doubt that those entering it passed through strange experiences, for they were obliged to leave at the adjacent temple. Obelisks in ancient Greece, are we sure? A complete account of what they saw and heard while in the oracle. The prophecies were given in the form of dreams and visions, and were accompanied by severe pains in the head. Some never completely recovered from the after effects of their delirium. The confused recital of their experiences was interpreted by the priests according to the question to be answered, while the priests probably used some unknown herb to produce the dreams or visions of the cavern. Their skill in interpreting them bordered on the supernatural. Before consulting the oracle, it was necessary to offer a ram to the daemon of the cave, and the priest decided by hieromancy whether the time chosen was propitious and the sacrifice was satisfactory. Okay, what's Troponius of Lebadia? I bet, yeah, she's a Lebadia, alright. Who's Troponia? Okay, this is just a weird name. What is this? Oh no, this is the guy. Okay, the oracle. Trophonius and his brother Agamedes were famous architects. While building a certain treasure vault, they contrived to leave one stone movable, so that they might secretly enter and steal the valuables stored there. Oh, you sons of bitches. A trap was set by the owner who had discovered the plot, and Agamedes was caught. To prevent discovery, Trophonius decapitated his brother and fled hotly pursued. He hid in the grove of Lebadia, where the earth opened and swallowed him up. The spirit of Trophonius thereafter delivered oracles in the grove and its caverns. So you're telling me some fucking crypto scammer from ancient Greece was like trying to steal some dude's money, killed his brother slaying. Actually, no, this is esoteric. Brother slaying is an ancient Aryan tradition. This is actually something interesting. That is symbolic. Then he goes and gets swallowed up by the earth, absorbed into nature, and it's his spirit that gives oracles. That's actually esoteric now that I think about it. That's actually esoteric. The name Trophonius means to be agitated, excited, or roiled. Or roided. It was declared that the terrible experiences through which consultants passed in the oracular caverns so affected them that they never smiled again. Ooh. The bees which accompanied the figure of Trophonius were sacred because they led the first envoys from Boeotia to the site of the oracle. The figure above is said to be a production of the statue of Trophonius, which was placed on the brow of the hill above the oracle and surrounded with sharply pointed stakes that it could not be touched. So then for some reason the symbol of bees also gets added here. Bees being a female symbol of Venus, of hard work. Bees are monarchical. Bees symbolize the feminine. Bees are simps, and they worship the queen. So there's something very interesting about the crossover of symbolism here for this oracle. Because we have a thief, crypto rug pull scammer, who kills his brother. Very Aryan symbolism. I know, you know, Romulus. Think Romulus and Remus, but also brothers killing each other. He gets swallowed by the earth, and then we got the bee symbolism, so which is a divine feminine symbolism. There's some very interesting overlay of symbolism there, and I don't know what to make of it. Cain killed Abel is also other brother murder as well. Seven Wonders of the World. Many of the sculptors and architects of the ancient world were initiates into the mysteries, yeah? Particularly the Eleusinian mysteries. Oh, and he's an architect as well, isn't he? So he's a mason. He's a Freemason. Oh my god. Oh my god. Were famous. Trophonius was a famous architect. A Freemason who killed his brother while doing a crypto rug pull, gets swallowed by the earth. He now gives prophecies and is symbolized by the divine feminine, i.e. bees. Bro. Chthonic mysteries. Chthonic. It's a underground. Chthonic. Feminine. Bro. This is hot. My pee-pee's getting bigger. Bigger. As time goes by. Oh my god. Those fountains could literally be the poisonous methane egg smelling hot spring. Nah. I don't know, the fountains seem to be a bit of an addition. Spiked with belly button mucus. Bro, stop bringing back the belly button. Anyway, architects of the ancient world were initiates into the mysteries, particularly the Eleusinian rites. Since the dawn of time, the truers of stone and hewers of wood... Oh, is that a... Okay. Have constituted a divinely overshadowed caste. Carpenters and stonemasons. A civilization spread slowly over the earth, where cities were built and deserted. Monuments were erected to heroes at present unknown. Temples were built to gods who lie broken in the dust of the nations they inspired. Research has proved not only that the builders of these cities and monuments and sculptors who chiseled out the inscrutable faces of the gods were masters of their crafts, but that in the world today there are none to equal them. The profound knowledge of mathematics and astronomy embodied in an ancient architecture, and the equally profound knowledge of anatomy revealed in Greek statuary prove that fashioners of both were masterminds. Deeply cultured in the wisdom constituted the arcana of the mysteries. Manly Behold getting a little conspiratorial here. A secret civilization that builds cities and then leaves. Leaves them abandoned. Thus was established the Guild of Builders, progenitors of the modern Freemasons. When employed to build palaces, temples, or tombs? Or to carve statues for the wealthy, those initiated architects and artists concealed in their works the secret doctrine, so that now, long after their bones have returned to dust, the world realizes that those first artisans were indeed duly initiated and worthy to receive the wages of master masons. That's a very Freemasonic line. That's interesting. The receiving of the wages of the masons. The receiving of the wages is almost like the wages is the mysteries. You do a sacrifice and you get knowledge, or the mason completes his work and he gets his wages. So I'm just interpreting Masonic mysteries now. Seven Wonders of the World, while apparently designed for diverse reasons, were really monuments erected to perpetuate the arcana of the mysteries. Now this is based. They were symbolic structures placed in peculiar spots, and the real purpose of their erection can be sensed only by the initiated. Eliphas Levi has noted the marked correspondence between these seven wonders and the seven planets. Ooh. The seven wonders of the world were built by widows' sons. Widow's sons, so fathers who had died, and you just have the mother. So ants, so bees. Ants are workers, bees simp for the queen. Widow's sons, honor of the 7 planetary genii. Their secret symbolism is identical with that of the 7 seals of Revelation and the 7 churches of Asia. Fat peepee, without scruple or diffidence, says Scouse. You and me, Scouse, you and me. Based. Based. So now the 7 wonders. Let's go through them. Let's go through them. The widow's sons are brothers of Hiram Abiff. Yes. The Colossus of Rhodes, a gigantic brass statue of 109 feet. That's interesting. That's very interesting. 109, because it's one off 108, but also there's a tradition in Zoroastrianism that you even numbers are unlucky. So I remember, what is it? I have some Zoroastrian family members, and whenever like Christmas would come around, they didn't know what to get me as a kid, so they would just give, you know how parents would give like a $50 note or a $100 note? They would give you like a $50 note but and a $1 coin as well. And so it's like just to break it so it's uneven, because then if it's uneven, it's good luck. So it's interesting, 108, but it's 109. That one little extra thing added. Feet in height and requiring over 12 years to build, was the work of an initiated artist, Chares of Lindus. The popular theory accepted for several hundred years that the figure stood with 1 foot on each side of the entrance to the harbour of Rhodes, and that fully rigged ships passed between its feet, based, has never been substantiated. Unfortunately, the figure remained standing. But 50-60 years, being thrown down by an earthquake. Damn you, Mother Nature! The shattered parts of the Colossus lay scattered about the ground for more than 900 years, when they were finally sold to a Jewish merchant, who carried the metal away on the backs of 700 camels. Some believe the brass was converted into munitions, and others that it was made into drainage pipes. The gigantic gilded figure with its crown of solar rays and its upraised torch signified occultly the glorious Son of Man and the mysteries of the universal Savior. Bruh. 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 Jewish merchant took it away. I wonder if it was like turned into any Jewish relics. That's interesting though. Erection. Okay. Architect Ctesiphon, in the 5th century BC, submitted to the Ionian cities a plan for the erecting a joint monument to their patron goddess Diana. The place chosen was Ephesus, a city south of Smyrna. The building was constructed of marble. The roof was supported by 127 columns, each 60 feet high. Oof. I'm just wondering, just trying to visualize that, and weighing over 150 tons. So there's 127 columns. The temple was destroyed by black magic. Oof. I want to say based. I mean, it's not based that it was destroyed, but I know that just kind of means black magic fights, and that kind of gets me all excited. But the world fixes the odious crime upon the tool by means of which the destruction was accomplished, a mentally deranged man named Herostratus. It was later rebuilt, but the symbolism was lost. The original temple, designed as a miniature of the universe, was dedicated to the moon, the occult symbol of generation. Once again, the moon, feminine, very feminine. Upon his exile from Athens, Phidias, the greatest of all Greek sculptors, went to Olympia, in the province of Elis, and there designed the colossal statue of Zeus, the chief of the gods of Greece. There is not even an accurate description of this masterpiece now in existence. Only a few old coins give an inadequate idea of its general appearance. The body of the god was overlaid with ivory, and the robes were of beaten gold. In one hand he is supposed to have held a globe supporting a figure of the goddess of victory. In the other, a scepter, surmounted by an eagle. The head of Zeus was archaic, heavily bearded and crowned with an olive wreath. The statue was seated upon an elaborately decorated throne. As its name implies, the monument was dedicated to the spirit of the planet Jupiter, one of the 7 Logoi, who bow before the Lord of the Sun. Hey Nulu! Welcome, Richard. You planning on doing any content on the occult stuff and the Epstein files? A lot of people on Twitter don't have the nuance to break it down. Maybe. Because I've seen all the stuff being released, and it's like, he was a 4chaner, she was a Redditor. Can I make it any more obvious? But I don't know, like, because it always just kind of seemed cringe. Like, what is the occult stuff? Like, I haven't seen the occult stuff. People just being like, oh, Pizzagate is real. And I'm like, yeah, everyone knew that. Did they do any, are there any rituals? Are there any talks? Do they quote any occultists? Or are they just like, let's do a child sacrifice? Like, because then it's just kind of cringe. If they're just plain old satanic sacrifices, then meh. But if there's actually occult substance in there, it's like they were actually some continuation of a Phoenician mystery cult, then I'd be like, oh my god, pee big. And I'd do a video on it, or I'd race to do a video on it, but still redacted. Yeah. Okay, 4th. So we got the Colossus of Rhodes, we got the Temple of Diana, we got Statue of Zeus. Next includes the Temple of Solomon among the 7 wonders of the world. The place occupied by Pharos, or the Lighthouse of Alexandria. The Pharos, so is it the Lighthouse of Alexandria or the Temple of Solomon? What's going on? The Pharos, named for the island upon which it stood, was designed and constructed by Sostratus of Cnidus, during the reign of Ptolemy. It is described as being of white marble and over 600 feet high. Even that ancient day, it cost nearly $1 million. Fires were lighted in the top of it and could be seen for miles out at sea. It was destroyed by an earthquake in the 13th century, but remains of it were visible until 1350 AD, being the tallest of all wonders. It was naturally assigned to Saturn, the father of the gods, and the true illuminator of all humanity based. Saturn is real, and he's a nice guy, actually. I'd have to look at it, but there were some references to substantial stuff. There's just an overload of all the memes from it. Okay. Send me some links, dog. Real Street Shaman says there's occult undertones considering his research, but there's an Atlantean... I know, yeah, everyone quotes the Atlantean Temple, but besides that, what else is there? Epstein was banned from Xbox Live. Yeah, that was funny. Mausoleum of Halicarnassus was a magnificent monument erected by Queen Artemisia in memory of her dead husband. So here we have a reverse simping, where the woman simps for the man. So that's what... Wait, mausoleums are called mausoleums because the first mausoleum was made for a guy called Mausolus? Bruh. From whose name the word mausoleum is derived, bro. The designers of the building were Satyrus and Pithous, and 4 great sculptors were employed to ornament the edifice. The building, which was 114 feet long and 92 feet wide, was divided into 5 major sections: the senses, and surmounted by a pyramid, the spiritual nature of man. The building was 100 feet long, 90 feet wide. Okay, surmounted by a pyramid, so it was a cubical structure. With a pyramidal top, sorry. The pyramid rose 24 steps, a sacred number. And upon the apex, a statue of the king, Mausolus, in a chariot. His figure was 9 feet by 9.5 inches. Interesting. Many, not quite 10. They avoided 10 there for some reason. Many attempts have been made to reconstruct the monument, which was destroyed by an earthquake. But none has been altogether successful. The monument was sacred to the planet Mars and was built by an initiate for the enlightenment of the world. The Gardens of Semiramis at Babylon, more commonly known as the Hanging Gardens, stood within the palace grounds of Nebuchadnezzar. Near the Euphrates River, they rose in a terrace-like pyramid, and on the top was a reservoir for the watering of the gardens. They were built about 600 BC, but the name of the landscape artist has not been preserved. They symbolized the planes of the invisible world, and were consecrated to Venus as the goddess of love and beauty. And 7, the Great Pyramid, supreme among temples of the mysteries. In order to be true to its astronomical symbolism, it must have been constructed about 70,000 years ago. Manly P. Hall confirms Atlantis. Based. It was the tomb of Osiris and was believed to have been built by the gods themselves. Based. And the architect may have been the immortal Hermes. Based. It is the monument of Mercury, messenger of the gods, and the universal symbol of wisdom and letters. Ladies and gentlemen. Ring ring, it's the base department. Ooh, Life and Philosophy of Pythagoras. Okay, damn, we got through that chapter. I love symbolism. Just checking out the chat. Maybe there's some occult reason behind browsing Yuri boards. Lol. Do we... I mean, but here's the thing, though. When you look at those links, that's not actually Epstein sending someone a 4chan link. It's someone sending Epstein the 4chan link. And it's... I actually looked at that and I was like, who's that lady? And it's some random Shayla, Kyler, or something. Some random model. Or one of his ex-girlfriends. Like, browsed the Yuri board and would send him that stuff. I wonder what they were looking at. Yuri. Frickin' hell. I mean, because that's just it. 4chan doesn't have a lolly board, so maybe it was also, like... Because it doesn't have a lolly or a Shota board, so maybe it was, like, a little bit of the Yuri slash one of the girls was younger or something, but, yeah. Oh. Yep. Mega-based finish. Thank you, Tyler, for the $20. Big pee-pee touching, mucus aside. Let's knock out the next chapter. 33-minute read? The last chapter was a 34-minute read, so... I don't know who puts that as 33-minute read. Bruh, come on. That last... Even with me being interrupted, it still took, like, still took 3 hours, bruh. Joe Rogan had that guy on who showed the radar with the pillars underneath the pyramids. Yes. Yeah, I saw he organized a meeting with Moot. Epstein did, but, like, Moot didn't show? Oh, yeah, right. The card pick of today. Sorry. What were all y'all guesses? What were all y'all guesses? It was very esoteric today. We're guessing 6s. We got star. Kimberly guessing star and moon. Feeling a little star and moon. Scout, temperance. Some people guessing high priestess. I guess high priestess would be very thematic for today. Also magicians. 2 magicians. Okay. Okay. Any more guesses? Any more guesses in their chat? Chat? Well, guess what, chat? it was the hermit. We were very hermetic today, getting lost in little hermetic fissures and underground caverns, learning about secrets, candles, secret priesthoods. At the moment of your pull, I thought of a lion. Nah. Sorry, dog. Hermit makes sense. Belly buttons are very hermetic. It's all connected. Anyway, Epstein files aside, thank you all for tuning in today. That was a very base stream. I'll see you all next week. It looks good. Pythagoras, we're going to get some deep mysteries here. Going to get some numbers going. We're going to learn math next week. Let's do it. Next week, same time, same place, Life of Pythagoras. Let's go. Astrology stream will also be coming up soon. I love you all. Bye-bye.